Today on the Nerdy Gritty, should large companies be able to use Kickstarter to fund their projects?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am Dez, and if you back me at the lowest backing, you will also get Fox.
No, not me. No.
Oh no. That's
I'm
the highest
high end. I am a shop exclusive. You have to spend $400.
The market distributor.
Yeah,
exclusive.
exactly. Yeah. Also, my name's Fox.
So we're talking about Kickstarter today, and Fox, I wanted to see here if you could guess. I've got the top 10 Kickstarters as of July 2021.
Okay.
I actually happen to know that this is already outdated.
Because,
Wow.
Okay.
The Avatar, the
Because
Last
of the
Airbender
Avatar one.
tabletop game.
So this is top 10 funded, like by dollar amount.
by dollar amount.
Are
yes,
they by category
of
or
all
just
time.
literally the
Nope,
top 10?
Just the top 10. So here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you the item,
All right.
and I want you to tell me how much it was worth. Now I'm not gonna
You're
go,
skip around a little bit. So
I'm saying
okay.
I'm not
All
gonna
right.
go
All
in
right.
any specific order here.
Sure. That makes sense.
So, we're just gonna start.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Let's go. Kingdom Death Monster 1.5. All right. So, this was a cooperative nightmare horror game experience.
Okay.
Hunt intelligent monsters and develop your settlement through a self-running campaign.
You're specifically hunting intelligent monsters.
So, I guess the idea here is.
This thing has sapience. Let's murder it.
So the idea here is this is a looks like kind of like a tabletop role playing game
Okay.
that plays itself. So you play,
Cool.
or sorry, DMs
And then
itself.
and then I can
you
leave.
can go. It DMs itself.
So everybody just gets to be okay.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
I know
So-
board games and tabletop games do pretty well. I think board games are one of the more like reliable categories.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna go with $900,000.
That's pretty close.
Oh.
but not even close.
Oh.
So let me also let you know that it got almost 20,000 backers.
Oh. 800,000. Just kidding. Nah, I'll give you one guess, and then you tell me how far I was off.
Well, good, because hopefully this will help gauge things a little bit for you.
Sure,
here.
yeah.
$12.4 million.
$12.4 million. I was about 1/12 of the way there, a little less than that,
a little
actually.
less, more like 1/13.
Yeah, that's
so
bad. That was bad of me.
That was rough.
Give me one more.
One more. Okay. Pebble Time. Here, let me look up
It's Pebble Time already?
It sure is.
Oh, yeah, 10:46.
Pebble Time is a color e-paper smartwatch with up to 7 days of battery and a new timeline interface that highlights what's important in your day. So it's a smartwatch.
Okay.
So it's just kind of a fancy smartwatch.
Sure.
It had 78,000 backers.
78,000 backers.
Yeah.
Based on my knowledge of smartwatch prices, let's go with that one. I'll give a square. You know what? Nah, not square. $10.2 million.
That's our number one topper with
Whoa.
$20.3 million.
What? A watch?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the smartwatches are fancy now.
So
they are very popular.
To be clear, this is according to Statista.com.
Sure.
The most successfully completed Kickstarter projects as of July 2021, based on the amount of total funds raised in million US dollars.
Wow.
So there you go,
congrats
man.
to Pebble Time.
Yeah.
Well, great.
Hey, okay,
Let's
get
look
into
at some
news.
news. Last week was a weird one, so we got to get back in that group.
Yeah, we didn't do that. Okay, hey, you got something that follow up on our 2 week ago.
Yeah, let's do that one. So we did talk about that Fortnite to weird. They had an idea.
It was that.
They had an idea to include a Martin Luther King Jr. like memorial thing
Right.
inside Fortnite.
Right.
It was a non like game. It was a non-violent space.
Right.
Where you couldn't do anything except for like be there. And it was weird.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple of weeks
We
ago
did.
because it's weird. Like,
It's
that's
weird,
a weird
but
pull.
also like, okay.
Yeah.
I get the idea. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I understand maybe where the motivation came from. It probably could have been done better. And now we see how it could have been done better. Because Epic needed to disable the quote-unquote disrespectful Fortnite emotes in the Martin Luther King event.
Oh, my gosh. They had to, like, I can't believe that they didn't expect their demographic of middle school boys.
Yeah,
You know, I know that
even if
everybody
they
plays
don't
Fortnite,
even
but-
if they it's at least at the very least they're gonna try to be edgy, you know.
Yes, I just coming from somebody who directs a middle school camp every single year, who has for 10 years now. I was laughing because this year there was the Mind Goblin, and years before that it was Ligma,
Yep.
and years before that
yeah.
it was D's. And middle schoolers will always find a way to refer to their testicles in some way.
All right,
and
so
like they're gonna do dumb things like this.
Well, it's pretty standard, but I gotta look at this list. Let's see. All emotes have been disabled in the March Through Time event. That's what the event is
Right.
called. Except the 8 that are part of the experience. One of them is a sitting and protesting emote. So they had to disable. They just played it safe, and except for the 8 that were specifically designed for this event, they disabled everything else, including just dances and stuff.
Okay, so here's what I want to know: are those 8 able to be used in Fortnite proper?
I'm gonna sit and protest your
Yeah.
headshot.
Are some of them things that, man, that's
I don't know. It again. It's we understand maybe where you were coming with this, but maybe should have thought it through a little bit more.
yeah. The
Like,
whole thing is kind of a weird.
I
pull.
wonder. I mean, game development studios are probably pretty familiar with their audience, with their player base. I mean, they might be able to see stats of like what emotes are used most and stuff.
Right.
Do you think though there's a little bit of denial involved where it's like, well, yeah, they're like that sometimes, but with this, obviously this is serious. They'll be respectful.
I don't know
Or
if
is it
it's-
just like a
I think it was an
Get it
idea.
in there,
like,
we're done.
They were talking. My guess is like, you know what, man? Like, let's do something. I feel like we have a good platform. I feel like we can do something good with this.
yeah?
I feel like there's good intentions in there, and then they just didn't finish thinking it through.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it felt like maybe just like, oh, that's a cool idea. Let's just get it in there as fast as possible.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's strange.
Well, on a different note here, a few years ago at PAX, we played a game called Boyfriend Dungeon.
We did play that.
Yeah, and it was a pretty good game. It has finally released
Kit Fox Games.
from Kit Fox, and there has been some pretty serious backlash.
It's been out for several months now. Or
Yeah.
a month or two at least.
So this is a game that is very LGBTQ supportive.
Oh, 100%,
like, and
yeah.
just, I mean, when you are dating your sword, it's not that like.
It's everything. It's the plus needs to be involved because that is plus, I think.
But here's the problem.
Yes.
Apparently, there is one of the people that you can date that begins as a stalker.
Yes.
And so this person stalks you, and apparently it's pretty like heavily.
Sure.
Yeah,
They did not
obvious.
shy away from the realism and the emotions you might experience in these kinds of relationships.
And so it got so bad. I'm on a PC Gamer article here that apparently there was hate mail sent for playing the character, like for the character existing at all. People
Okay.
were sending hate mail to Kit Fox Games about this. And here's their quote. Oh no, sorry, this is not their quotes. Maybe they don't have a quote here. Dang it, sorry. But all this to say that it was. I feel like that's something that's kind of weird right now, like that joke of somebody being obsessed with somebody else, like ha ha ha, he's obsessed with me or whatever.
Sure.
But I feel like that's one of those things that's slowly going over into the, hey, this is a joke of real life things that are unhealthy
Sure.
and not good. And
I mean, I think there's always nuance there. There's always context. But yeah, you should always be recognizant of what you are saying and what that might mean to somebody else who's had a different experience than you.
It reminds me of, we were just casual watching 30 Rock at PAX.
Or in PAX.
Well, not at PAX, but in our off time.
There was a 30 Rock room where you just go watch the show.
And there was an episode where somebody was coming to downsize their department, and so Liz attempted to seduce him, and it was a super cringy thing because it was very much this man of power woman feels she needs to use.
It's very a transactional.
Yeah. And
power imbalance.
That at the time, even just a few years ago, that was ha ha ha. That's funny, But now it's
right.
Oof,
this is not okay.
Oof, that's rough, man.
100%. If I remember correctly, they did update basically their trigger warnings for the game, added in some messages of, hey, this is what you will see or might see.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been calls to remove that character from the game outright.
Oh, yeah.
And they, as far as I know, have not done that, which I'm a fan of. You make your game, you make your game. I think it's fair to, apologize and add more hey, this is something you might experience while playing the game. I think that's fair because you want to give players the opportunity to say, actually, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that. But you make your game. Here's the content we want you to.
I don't know. I think we're swapping sides here a little bit on the because I would call this an accessibility issue. If I want to play this game, but it's going to be triggering for me, and you can choose not to put something that is pretty universally understood as a bad thing. You can choose not to put that in there. I don't know. I feel like having an abusive person in a dating sim and letting that person be somebody that you date, I feel like that's an accessibility issue.
Well, how many games and stuff would then just have to not be a thing? How many games, movies, TV
from this
shows?
point, again, there is always, and we've talked about this on a podcast before, there's always a measurement of from this point backwards, there is what there is. But from this point
going forward, art is supposed to reflect real life, I think, in a big way. And if that is something that exists in real life, as long as it's treated with, gravitas that it deserves, then I think it should be. To me, it's the exact same thing as putting out the Fallujah game, the whatever,
right?
Dez and Fallujah. Well, yeah, that might be triggering for people. So let's just not put it out. That was the whole issue before,
right?
But we're still have yet to see what it actually is like. But if they're treating it in the right way, and people have informed consent going into playing it, then hey, then you have the opportunity to say no, yes or no, and it could be cathartic for some people. Let
me rephrase that. Then I understand what you're saying. When it's taken as a joke or casually. When it,
right, I don't think this is a joke.
Seriously, or
I don't
gravitas,
think they're treating a stalker as a joke in this game.
But I, from what I can see, I think it is somebody that you can this person is a stalker, but he's never really called out as a stalker, and they never really deal with the fact that what he's doing or what they are doing is wrong, and it's never really an issue. It's just, now I can date this person.
Interesting.
So I think, again, from what I've read in the article, it seems like you have a stalker, and this person stalks you, and then finally you meet this person, and you decide, haha, that's cute, we should date. Or you can decide that.
That would be shocking to me if that was how it was treated. But I haven't played it, so I don't know.
Right. All right, okay. What do we got next?
Let's move on.
What are you up to, Fox? What's been going on with you?
Oh, right, that's what we're doing. So, a few things. So at PAX, they were advertising a mobile game that I've played before. I've played it before. It's not I impulsively downloaded it.
100%
This was not the first time. I knew what I was getting into. I wasn't, it's called Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. It's an idle game, like a cookie clicker or a adventure capitalist is one.
Right.
I play them from time to time when I'm super bored, until I get more bored with it than being otherwise bored. And this one, it was real fast for me. And not because I was just flash in the pan, whatever, I don't care anymore. It is, I don't remember this, and maybe I'm just doing something wrong, or I don't have a setting on or something, but it has difficulties. So basically the game is you have an adventuring party of heroes. You go on adventures, like a D&D campaign kind of thing. Each adventure is just waves of enemies. You beat them, you move up, and it increasingly gets more and more difficult. You use whatever. It's a thing. Each of those adventures has a difficulty to them, and at the very beginning, there's like a easy one, of course. It's like, introduction to the game, kind of teaches you how to play. Literally after that, there was nothing but, like, if it's 1 through 5, I don't know if that's actually what it was, nothing but 4 or 5 difficulty, where I could not beat them without spending money.
I downloaded and played a game that we played for a Steam Game Festival, or I played for a Steam Game Festival a long time ago, called 100 Days.
Yeah, that's the wine.
It's the wine
simulator.
It went on sale. It's got a Steam sale, so it was like 20% off. So I bought it. And typically these days when I game, I also try and do something else at the same time. I don't have a lot of just personal me time. Usually I'm like doing chores or like working on stuff, whatever else. And so I try and like combine things that I like to do. So like literally I'll play Resident Evil 8 and listen to a podcast, or I will play Slay the Spire while watching a movie. This is one of those games that it's just so chill and laid back. I feel like if I do anything else, I'm ruining the experience.
Yeah. It needs to be just kind of experience.
It is. And so like you just sit there, and it's kind of like got a little bit of a Tetris element where you're trying to fit vineyards of different shapes into your land, and trying to cultivate them and choosing the label for your bottle and things like that. And it is really, it's a winemaking simulator. It really is a sim. But it's just beautiful music to it, and the seasons change as you're there, and you see like your crop change and the way it looks and whatnot, and it's beautiful, and it's calm, and it's chill, and I'm into it, man. It's a lot of fun. I finished the Codex Alera. 6 books, really, really good series, great action, really good like character building, and it goes over the course of probably about 10 to 15 years. These books, and seeing these characters grow and build, and villains from the first book understandably and logically becoming like the most staunch of allies by the last book, and really, really cool. I would say my only complaints, and this is a minor spoiler, I guess, is there's a little bit of a happily ever after among the characters. Now, let me be clear. The world has changed. Like a large amount of the population has been murdered.
Happily ever after.
But like, none, really, not that many, if any of the main
characters you follow.
Yeah. There's very much a happy.
Doesn't feel like there should be more consequences, kind of thing.
Absolutely, and there were even times when like they alluded like, and then everything went black, and like, oh man, and then he woke up. Oh wait, nope, okay, never mind. Like, there were moments where it could have been poignant, and they kind of let it go. I'll move on to, let's talk about Shang-Chi. We watched a movie.
We did watch. It's pronounced Shang-Chi, actually.
It's pronounced Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi.
Sure. In the show, though, they mostly
Shang-Chi,
pronounce it Shang.
Shang-Chi.
His name is Shang.
Sean.
He changed his name from Sean to Shang?
And you changed it to Sean? That was a joke in the movie, and it was
let's talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Well, on the note of that joke, here's what I'm going to say, and I know you agree with me. Awkwafina crushed it, man.
I thought she was great.
Yeah, she was funny.
Awkwafina can be a little obnoxious, I think,
right.
Sometimes. I mean, it's just a differing humor style. It's nothing on her. But in this one, like, she made jokes that I thought were funny. I thought she was appropriately used as a humor and also as a dramatic, like, character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was great in it.
Yeah, she did a great job. Very often, like, was just the normal person in the
just
group
kind
of the craziness and acted appropriately, you know?
Sure, yeah. I also enjoyed that. There's something called the, I can't remember what it's called. The best? No, I can't remember. There's a test for a story, a movie, whatever it is, where if a female character talks to another female character about something other than love interest, boys.
Yeah.
And they passed it. Because she and his sister kind of became friends and genuinely supported each other. And it's like, that's nice to see that she wasn't love interest, but also she wasn't just friend, you know? And so that was nice to see.
It's so weird that test, that the test is just in a film, if 2 women speak to each other about not a man.
A man.
That's it. That's all you have to do to pass the test, and the amount of films that fail. This
test. The test exists for a reason, because for a lot of movies, they're just default characters.
Yep. So, I think that build-up action was really good. I will say at the end, it got pretty bonkers pretty fast. Like, it went from 0 to bonkers.
I thought it was fun.
I thought it was fun, but a little bit fast for my taste. But still, I think that the action building up to it was incredible. Like, they did this really great job of taking this very magical thing with the 10 rings and then bringing it down to earth and having them fight in clubs and on the sides of buildings on scaffolding and things like that. And it was cool. The choreography was spectacular.
That was my favorite part.
Man,
was that
so
is probably the best. I mean, there's been Marvel movies with pretty cool combat and pretty cool, like, you know, the Captain America movies have some pretty good stuff in them, and battle scenes have often been fun to watch. This one had such cool choreography that was clearly, like, you know, inspired by like wire fu type things, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you know, House of the Flying Daggers, things like that, where it's like, we know that that's not really what, like, it's not supposed to be realistic, but also it's kind of magical. So maybe, like, it's just fun, like, but also well choreographed and very fluid and just interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crouching Tiger meets Marvel is a really
little
great,
bit. Yeah.
But well done.
Sure.
Really good. Okay. That's all I got.
Yeah. That's all I've got too.
Okay. Let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
That sounds all right.
Hey guys, we just want to let you know before that we actually get down to the nerdy gritty that you're listening to an edited version of this podcast. You just are getting kind of this first half. The second half is never edited. The first half is cut down to be a little more palatable. We know not everybody wants to listen to us just chat about what we've been up to for a long time or whatever news is going on at the moment. So we cut it down to make it a little bit easier to listen for our casual listeners. And that's awesome. If that's you, hey, welcome. Please tell a friend that you enjoy listening to our podcast. But if you are a diehard nerdy gritty listener and you really want to hear more about what we've been up to, our opinions on movies, TV shows, things like that, we recommend that you head over to patreon.com/Dez and Fox and become a patron of ours. At the second tier or higher, you get access to the director's cut of the nerdy gritty. It's the cost of $5 a month, I think, right now.
Yes.
And it just gives you 20 minutes, half an hour more content of just stuff we've been up to, things we've been talking about. So if you can do that, we'd really appreciate your support. If not, we do just appreciate it when you're out there telling people about it. Yeah, you guys are cool. Let's really get down to the nerdy gritty now.
Recently, it was announced that the video game developer / publisher / conglomeration CD Projekt Red is they launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund The Witcher Ronin. It's a hard copy collector's edition manga. This is a Kickstarter exclusive book that is being funded through Kickstarter. That's why it's Kickstarter exclusive. It's exclusively crowdfunded through here. Hold on, let me refresh this to get the exact amount that has been funded. Their goal was, hold on, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Their goal was $106,000, $106,375. It now
it's
has
such a specific number.
To me, it's it is converted from Polish bucks.
Oh,
whatever
okay, that
they're
makes more
called.
sense there. Polish, no, that's it.
Polish bucks. Poland dollars. So
I think they're called Nook miles.
That's what it is. So they have 17 days to go of a 30-day, I would assume 30-day. I think that's standard.
Right.
And they have made 539,109. They've
yeah,
it's not an outrageous number, but they have multiplied their goal by about 5.
Mm-hmm.
So they have obviously funded it very quickly. And there has been this isn't the first Kickstarter to kind of talk about this kind of back and forth, this debate. But it has definitely thrown into the limelight the idea that should big companies like this be using something like Kickstarter to fund their projects when I think it can be safely assumed that they would have the money to publish a book without crowdfunding.
Right.
And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're kind of setting up intentionally as a debate format because like most things, we understand both sides and could agree with both, but we do have stronger opinions on either one. Who knows?
Yeah.
So we're going to debate basically, should big companies and that's a subjective term that we'll kind of
Right,
talk
absolutely.
about. Should big companies be able to use Kickstarter or similar crowdfunding platforms to fund their products? Because at this point, I would say, well, we'll get into it.
Right.
So that's kind of thing. I'm going to be taking the no side. No, they should not be able to.
And I'll be taking the man, go for it side.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So I think maybe it'd be appropriate to start, since as of now, there aren't any limitations.
Right.
Any big company. So I think we should start with you, because
Okay.
essentially what is the current process is what you are arguing for.
Right.
So give us your take, your view on why this should be the norm and should continue.
So Kickstarter exists because the idea is, I don't know if this is something people will want. This is my idea. Give me money if you will want this. And then if it doesn't succeed, they say, oh, guess people didn't want it. It's not happening now. If they do succeed, they say, I guess people wanted it. We can give it to them now. And that is something that very much appeals to grassroots, indie, in-home type stuff.
course.
Absolutely, yes. But I don't see any reason why that should exclude CD Projekt Red. Maybe they're thinking to themselves, I don't know if people are going to want a manga or not. We're not going to put in this amount of publishing, this amount of time, this amount of whatever, and end up selling 1,000 copies, and that's it. And so it's this mindset of, okay, hey, we want to do this thing. We think this would be a good idea. Here are some preliminary ideas and some preliminary sketches. Would you guys actually buy this? And I think it allows for companies to, instead of take risks, to kind of gauge the market before they take a risk. And that makes sense to me.
That 100% does make sense to me. The idea of, like, we don't know, we want to minimize our risk in the investment we're making here in this
Right.
product. I will say that in this particular instance, it's not always going to be true with everything. I mean, Witcher comics have been published for years now, a decade maybe not that long, a good long while. There are at least 4 or 5 limited series that have come out now, and they continue to put them out. A new series just started. So clearly, they already know that there is a desire for
market for this.
Obviously, manga, a hardcover manga is a little different.
Yeah.
But they have this standard approach to this. But I'd all say, I do understand. Yeah, it's a risk, and this is something that can minimize their risk, or just say, here's the amount we want to invest in this, and then that's it. If it doesn't, it's fine. Yeah, it makes sense to me. I do want to point out here, and I think this is going to kind of set the tone a little bit for my entire viewpoint. There's other things that come out of this, but I want to read Kickstarter's mission statement for you.
Okay. Ooh, all right.
Kickstarter, I was wondering, like, well, because when I presented this as a topic, you were like, well, why wouldn't they? And I said, well, it doesn't really feel like the spirit of the thing, right?
Yeah.
But that's a pretty subjective statement.
Yeah.
Because it could feel like the spirit of the thing. Well, here's a more objective way to talk about that. Here's our mission. This is on the About page on Kickstarter. Our mission is to help bring creative projects to life. We believe that art and creative expression are essential to a healthy and vibrant society, and the space to create requires protection. We don't want art world elites and entertainment executives to define our culture. We want creative people, even those who've never made anything before, to take the wheel. We help creators connect directly with their communities, putting power where it belongs. We are so committed to our mission, we wrote it into our business model. In 2015, we became a public benefit corporation, a for-profit company that prioritizes positive outcomes for society as much as for our shareholders. We updated our corporate charter to lay out specific goals and commitments. Commitments to put our values into our operations, promote arts and culture, fight inequality, and help creative projects to happen. And there's a couple lines in there, but I think the whole thing just kind of is a pretty big reason why CD Projekt Red, one of the most successful video game development companies, making one of the most financially successful games, even with its huge amount of backlash, not 8 months ago,
Yeah.
should probably not fall under the category of Kickstarter, let's see if this does something.
Right.
To me, it falls outside the realm of it's one of those things where it's a subjective. I know it when I see it, but to me, CD Projekt Red doesn't really feel like they should fall into the category of grassroots. Let's connect with our community. Let's see what they want. Let's get this creative vision we have. I'm not saying they don't have a creative vision.
Right.
I'm not saying that this book is just a soulless product. The Witcher comics I have enjoyed. They're cool. They're good.
Yeah.
And The Witcher in general, they've done a very good job of continuing that like gray morality kind of tale-telling that they've started, that Andrei Sapkowski started with the books. I'm saying you don't need to find a grassroots organization to connect with your audience. Your audience is the millions of people that have already purchased your products for a decade now. Let other people use this this platform.
Right.
So I don't know. Do you have a response to that? Or?
Yeah, because I think this is something that you and I do a lot, where we kind of figure out where the linchpin of a debate's going to be.
Sure.
But I think it's going to come down to the semantics and the subjectivity of who falls in this and who doesn't. Because their goal is, what it's essentially saying is, we want artists to be able to create something without an overseer saying, well, you can't do it that way, though, or you can't make it that way or in this way or whatever. We want artists or creators to be able to make their vision without a larger oversight.
The only quote-unquote oversight is from the people who are saying, yes, I will back that, or no, I won't.
And so, to me, I still don't see where this would exclude. What about artists in CD Projekt? What if these are guys? What if they're the art department in CD Projekt Red?
This is a CD Projekt Red thing. This isn't some person related to CD. This is an official CD Projekt Red.
But if they got the blessing from their
to use their
overseers, whatever, and they were like, hey, we want to do this. Like, well, we're not going to fund you for that. Or if we do fund you, we're going to be peeking over your shoulder the whole time. Like, yeah, sure, we will pay for this, but you're going to make what we want you to make.
Sure.
And they're like, no, we have our own vision. Can we please use Kickstarter? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying that is what's happening. In fact,
that's a nice hypothetical.
Probably
but
not what's happening.
There's not really anything to indicate that in the description for the project here.
But the reality is that not only can we not, Kickstarter shouldn't be going into each of these situations and saying, okay, hold on, pause, wait. Are you independent or not? And kind of measuring where independent comes from, because CD Projekt Red, like so many other companies, started real small.
Yes, very small.
Yeah, and then they got very popular.
Literally started in Poland when video games, I think, were illegal. So before the fall of the Soviet Union.
And so at one point they were indie like this. At one point that was them. At what point do we draw a line and say, okay, you are no longer indie now? I think that the purpose of Kickstarter is to say, if you don't want whoever is funding you to have creative control over what you're doing, bring it to Kickstarter. And I think that a large company can do that just fine. And to be clear, not a publishing company, like an art part of the company.
CD Projekt Red already works with Dark Horse.
Right.
That's where they publish all the. So the funny thing is, like, even if it was Dark Horse publishing it through CD Projekt Red for this, CD Projekt Red's bigger than Dark Horse. So my viewpoint, I don't know if that's financially true. Yes, I understand that is, I agree. The hard part there is kind of defining this. Is even if we both agreed that, this is true. Well, who gets to make that call? To me, this is like kind of in the realm of craft and domestic beer.
Yeah.
Where there are regulations. There are actually a lot of industries like this where there are regulations regarding who gets to use certain terminology with their product, whether it's a craft beer or a domestic beer. I think that's the term used. Is determined by things like how much do you produce.
So it's actually a microbrew.
Oh, I see.
Versus
craft. I guess that's another layer of subjectivity.
Yeah.
Sure. So, but in that realm, you have the infamous, like, Sam Adams is considered a microbrewery.
Yeah.
Only basically because it seems they lobbied to make the
Whatever amount they
What-
make, that's
the
amount.
cutoff.
Yep.
And it's like, well, okay. And so the whole industry, I mean, I would imagine is just like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Where nobody can do anything about it, and I don't think it really matters for. I mean, it probably matters to a lot of people. Like, that's not microbrewery, like that's Sam Adams. But to me, yeah, this is going to be the difficult part. In if they were to say, you know what, we heard what this portion of our audience is saying. These bigger companies are using our, another comic series from Boom Entertainment, Boom Comics or whatever it's called. They have a series called Berserker, which is written and basically starring Keanu Reeves.
My love for you was like a truck berserker. Sorry,
Not-
that's a Clerks reference, but go ahead.
Yeah, not that. That was also funded, I think, through it was on Kickstarter. I don't know if it was just to get the series entirely or if it was a specific edition or something, but it was also crowdfunded. And Boom Entertainment or Boom Comics or whatever they're called is smaller, but they're still one of the major, like, they're not Marvel or DC, but they're one of the major right underneath that second tier. They have a lot of licensed stuff. Firefly, all the Joss Whedon stuff is under theirs. And so how do they define? I understand, but I do think there should be some definition here. Because, and here's the major reason why I think this is kind of a problem.
Right.
Is that CD Projekt Red, both because they make quality games and because they've been controversial in the recent history because one of their games was hyped and bad, have a massive market share as far as the attention of the audience goes. They are going to get their Kickstarter project in front of the eyes of so many people because of the space they occupy in the video game realm, and that is going to pull attention away from other things. And to me, if their mission statement is to put, like, the power in the hands of creators who have a creative vision and want to pull and haven't connected with their community already, then you are actively making it harder for other people who are self-publishing their own comic book, their own manga, their own video game, their own whatever, by saying, yes, you are equal. And there are ways to filter, of course, on the website, like smaller, or amount of funding needed, things like that. But you are making it more difficult to accomplish the mission you've said is what you want to accomplish.
You're going to see that with any grassroots kind of startup, though, where if a guy's got his grassroots startup that he's trying to do with $10,000 and another guy's doing it with $1 million, and the guy with $1 million is paying for advertising and putting up billboards and whatever else, if they're both starting from nothing, one guy just happens to have X amount of dollars, the other guy happens to have Y amount of dollars. Y amount of dollars is going to win. It doesn't make them not grassroots startups anymore, though.
Sure, but it does mean a less equitable outcome.
Absolutely.
If I have $1 million to fund my political campaign, I'm, by the very nature of being more rich than you are, am going to be able to spread my message farther.
Right.
Even if, I mean, as objective as you can be, objectively, my message is worse.
So my point here being, though, is that, so does guy with X amount or with Y amount of dollars, with $1 million, say, well, I guess I can't do my grassroots startup, or I guess I'm only allowed to commit this amount of money to it, like, so things can be equitable.
I don't think that's a one-to-one comparison because Kickstarter is a separate platform.
So what my saying is, does Kickstarter have to be that judge? Do they have to be the one saying, all right, you guys are coming, you're both grassroots, you've got 10K, you've got $1 million? No. I'm sorry, you can't do it. Like, so because, again, guy who's going to Kickstarter with $1 million, he's going to be able to pay for his ads to be on Facebook, on Twitter, on whatever else. He's going to be able to put up these paid ads. And yeah, it's going to get out there a lot more. If you can pay for that advertising campaign, it's going to be way more successful. That's true of anything. If you can pay for advertising, it's going to be more successful than if you can't pay for advertising. And is it Kickstarter's job to stop and say, okay, how much are you putting into this? You're not allowed to pay for that much advertising. You're not allowed to do that.
Well, no, the difference is that person is coming with the money already. Kickstarter is for funding a project.
But once they fund the project, that guy is paying for the advertising.
Right, because the people have decided to invest.
No, I mean he's paying for the advertising of the Kickstarter.
Right.
He's paying to add, so he doesn't have the money yet. He's bringing his own
that
money.
meaning it's inequitable. He already has the money to invest.
Right.
Whereas, like, what I'm saying is, I think it's a pretty easy thing to point out if they're like, if it's just, hi, I'm Bill Williamson and I'm William Bilson, and we're both, and one of us has more money than the other. Sure, if it's just some person versus a massive corporation. I think it's there's a slippery slope argument that I don't want to get into.
Right.
Saying just because you have X amount of money doesn't mean you have to take into context that where that money is coming from and your what you already have established in the world.
So then let's go with the Avatar: The Last Airbender tabletop game.
Yes.
This was a third-party tabletop gaming company that decided to make it, and they just asked Nintendo, "Can we use your IP?" And they said, "Yeah, as long as you
Nickelodeon."
Or Nickelodeon, yeah. Nickelodeon thing used their IP, and they said, "Yeah, you can, as long as you follow these rules or whatever else." You know,
Well, they paid for that.
Typical-
Nickelodeon didn't say, "Yeah, sounds good."
I don't know that they did.
You pay for licensing an IP.
Well, you can do that. You can also negotiate a deal to license an IP, where like
Right.
Nickelodeon will get like a section of the profits or whatever else. But my point being that this was a small tabletop gaming company that did this,
Mhm.
but they happened to use a largely known IP. Is that
I could understand why that could fall under the thing. You already have this brand recognition that would probably be successful regardless.
and
So to me, that would probably fall under the same thing. It's not just money; it's also recognizability. If somebody says, I've created this cool board game, I would like you to fund it because here's my vision, but I need money to make it happen. And somebody says, yeah, sure. That is obviously a much more grassroots initiative than, hey guys, we've made board games before. And also Nickelodeon's like, yeah, you can use one of our most popular IPs of all time. Please give us money. I understand that while they both might not have a lot of money at the start, there is a inherent inequality in like from the get-go of what they are starting with the brand recognition, with the clout that they're going to be bringing to the world. Also, Nickelodeon is going to want that thing to succeed because it is a branded, licensed game thing that has like they don't want it to come out and be bad. So they also have incentive to ensure that there is some kind of maybe not return, but probably a return. I would be very surprised if
I'm sure they get a cut of the profits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
they have
would-
the funding, they have the backing of or at least a major corporation to kind of tip the scales in their favor.
So, and this is where I think this fits in perfectly with Kickstarter's statement. The problem there is that if these people don't, or if they go to Nintendo, Nintendo says, yeah, you can use our IP, and they go to Kickstarter, and Kickstarter says, I'm sorry, you can't do that. Nintendo's too big, or sorry, Nickelodeon. They go to Nickelodeon says you can use their
Sure,
IP,
yes.
and then Kickstarter says,
says
no, you can't
sorry.
do that.
Yeah, this
And they go to
doesn't fall under
Nickelodeon,
our terms.
and
of
Nickelodeon
use.
says, oh, we're not going to pay for that.
Sucks to
no,
suck.
we don't want that. Exactly. Sucks to suck. No, that's what Kickstarter's for. Kickstarter's for these artists with creative ideas that don't have the large funding to be able to take these creative ideas and get the funding they need.
Well, then make a different game with your same ideas. You just don't get to put the avatar paint on it.
Oh, but that's not what they want to make. Okay, so you
Yeah,
you
but
are
okay.
you have become the overseer saying, or I guess not you. Kickstarter has become the overseer saying, no, you cannot do it this way, or you can't have our money.
No. The people coming to them are deciding that unless we get to use this thing that is not our vision, that is already pre-established, we just want to use the branding. Sure, they might love it and might really like it's not just a product. They might really love Avatar. I'm sure they do. But they're not creatives at that point. They're not the same as grassroots, like I've created this thing. like they are saying, unless we can use the brand recognizability of one of the most massive, cartoon or television channels in an extremely successful cartoon, then we don't really want to make our game. That's them saying we're not really interested unless it's going to have the safety of this massive corporation behind us.
No, that's them saying that our passion is to bring this IP to the tabletop gaming
They don't
world.
get to decide that that's their passion, though, because they do not own... No, what I'm saying, they do not own Avatar. They don't say...
It doesn't mean that they can't be passionate about it.
Right. Oh, a lot of people are passionate, but cosplayers are passionate.
Yeah.
Fan art's passionate. What I'm saying is it is not theirs to decide what to do with, though. I can't say, I'm going to make my own Batman comic, and if DC says no, then I just have to say, well, I'll just have to stick to fan... Right, I'm not gonna they're not gonna, just because this big company doesn't allow me to, doesn't mean that they're destroying my passion.
And so this is my point, though, is they are not saying no. They are saying yes.
Right.
But you got to get the funding yourself. And so they go to Kickstarter. Kickstarter's the one saying no.
Right.
Kickstarter is the one limiting the passion of a creator at that point. And that's absolutely against what their mission statement is.
Well, okay. Obviously, it's a difference of perspective, because I think I would say they are saying, no, you are tipping the scales with an unfair advantage. And what we want to do is support people who don't have that advantage. We want to support so-and-so who has a tabletop RPG but doesn't have the backing of Nickelodeon behind them and an extremely successful brand. And I think that's where Kickstarter should start to say, we understand that some people are going to be disappointed. You and I have funded. We were Bloodborne.
Yeah, the Bloodborne game.
It's wonderful. It's great. I'm not saying I won't in the future. I'm saying I could very much understand if they said, because this is our mission statement to help people without recognizability, who want to find their community, then we are going to say we're possibly going to say no to people that we view as tipping the scale in their favor with an unfair advantage in the creative space.
So then this will be a good segue into probably what is my final argument in all of this, is that it seems that you're coming from a point that there is a limited pool of finances, and that if somebody comes and takes all of it, that it won't be there for other people. So let's go back to guy X and guy Y, $10,000 and $1 million. If $10,000 guy doesn't have a good idea, I'm not going to back him. Even if he has a fine idea and I never see it, I'm not going to back him. Guy Y coming with his $1 million idea isn't taking away from guy X.
Of course not.
When guy Y pays to advertise on Facebook, pays to advertise on Twitter, he is not at that point taking away advertising space from guy X. Guy X is exactly in the same place he would have been any other way, and therefore, what difference does it make anyway?
On the other hand, what if this Witcher book? What if there are two people, one who has the backing of CD Projekt Red? Let's even say that it's just some rando in the company who has the blessing of CD Projekt Red, and somebody else who's also writing a maybe even similar monster hunting manga. But what if the Witcher book sucks? But people decided to put all their money put their money toward that, and the other one is better. Obviously, these are subjective terms.
Right.
But what if it is much better, but didn't get funded because it doesn't have the advantage of an immediately recognizable brand and an extremely popular company behind it?
But at that point,
what I'm saying is that it's pulling focus from the grassroots thing that could subjectively be better.
But what you're even just admitting here is that people are backing the other one because it's The Witcher, meaning that if that Witcher thing wasn't there, they wouldn't even look at the other one anyway, because it's Switcher, Monster Hunter.
Why wouldn't they look at it?
Why would they look at it? It's not up on the advertising.
No, because they're on Kickstarter looking at projects.
I would say the vast majority of people go to Kickstarter, see an advertisement somewhere else. I would say most people don't browse Kickstarter.
I mean, I have.
You have. Yeah, you and I have.
Sure.
Again, most people don't.
It's possible.
Though. Yeah. But so, and for those who are browsing Kickstarter, they're going to see both of these anyway.
Possibly.
And at that point, they can make a choice for themselves.
Well, yeah, obviously they're always making a choice from themselves. What I'm saying is that the branding and the immediate, like the fact that it basically immediately funded automatically gives an advantage. There's this element of, I already know what that is, and we all know people already love what they already know. Already.
Right.
Like, franchises make money. Also, when it funds, you have that element of, well, it's less of a risk for me because I know I'm going to get it. I mean, it's not a risk either way. They don't get your money unless it completes. And also, well, that one already made money, must be good. When in reality, you don't know that.
Right.
And so, at the end of the day, if their goal is to create a space for creatives who do not have, or that have a, what do they specifically say? Let's go back to that because I want to read it again. Their goal was to, specifically they say, we don't want art world elites and entertainment executives to define our culture. That's a subjective statement defining culture. Who can say that this Witcher manga is going to define our culture? But implied in there is that maybe the people with the money shouldn't be the ones deciding what people get to see. Maybe the people even who have the creative vision and not necessarily the money should get more of a opportunity, get more of an advantage because they're already farther behind because of how money works in this world.
And my point is when they start trying to separate those two, they have become the elites that are defining their culture.
They're already that, though.
But they don't want that in there, is my point. They don't want elites trying to define the culture of what's going to be in there. They just want people to, you know what? You want to come? You want to get it funded, crowdfunded? Come on. Whoever you are, come on. Let's go.
The problem with that is that when there is no gatekeeping, to use a pretty controversial term, I understand. It is. I 100% fully admit it is gatekeeping. I'm not saying it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
100% by definition. But if there is none, then their mission is lost to The Witcher. Is lost to Nickelodeon. Their mission is lost to Bloodborne board game.
And so for example, me and a friend of mine in college wrote out a rough script for a graphic novel of Batman the animated series meets the X-Men of the X-Men cartoon series, and like it's how he ends up in that world and kind of what happens in the
and of course
everything.
He beats all of them in a fight because he's Batman, and
so
it doesn't make any sense.
No,
even though he would immediately die if he's trying to kill them, they're going to kill him way faster.
Nobody was trying to kill anybody. No. Okay. Anyway,
sure.
So, and it's one of those things that obviously it was just in our brains and we wrote out a few pages of it and we talked about the whole story and whatever else. If Marvel and DC had given us the rights to make this, said go for it, we don't want to pay for it, but go for it, we would be two small nobodies with a creative vision trying to get a creative vision made. And if then Kickstarter turned us away because we're using known IP, that is limiting small artists with creative vision.
It is limiting small artists with creative vision who have the backing of massive conglomerations.
Backing as much as I use.
You are no longer a small creative when you have the blessing of Marvel and DC.
I disagree.
Sure, they're not giving you money. You're probably paying them somehow because, again, you license something.
Right.
You don't just give it away for free because, hey, who knows? But you are still okay, then every single person who works for all of these is just a no-name creative who happens to be blessed, that happens to work for Marvel.
But you know the difference between an indie developer and a published developer, where there is a secondary company that comes in, gives them a bunch of money, and also says, we want to have some sort of oversight over this.
Right.
That is not what's happening in what I'm saying. What's happening is they're just saying, do what you will, we're hands off, but we're not going to give you money either. You can just use our IP.
Right. That doesn't happen. That's not a thing.
Literally what just happened with the Avatar: The Last Airbender thing.
Yes. Okay. You are framing this entirely in terms of money is what is the success here. Money is the influence. If you were to get on Kickstarter right now and see somebody else had that story and then also read DC is blocking or is backing or DC is on board and you're not going to assume this is just some guy because they didn't give him money. You're going to say that's a writer for DC now because he's writing something and he's using DC product. He's using DC storylines. That clout, even without the money, gives you an advantage over some guy who wrote a book that has nothing to do with DC. And I feel as though Kickstarter should want to say, we understand maybe you're not giving $10 million to write this, but you still have an unfair advantage over the smaller voices that aren't in your same situation.
And I guess that's kind of where I bristle because it's an advantage, but I don't think it's an advantage over anybody. I don't think CD Projekt Red is taking away from anybody else. Critical Role was not a large. They didn't have a ton of money. Critical Role didn't have a ton of money,
but they were the most popular, like in the realm of live D&D weekly shows. They were the most popular in the world.
So they were still a small time thing. Geek and Sundry were still a small time thing, and they wanted to do something big time. They wanted to make an animation, like they wanted to make a cartoon. Because they're the most popular tabletop, live play IP, to say they can't?
Well, it's because they were choosing not to monetize what they had. I mean, they sold.
No, they have been monetizing it, but they don't. It doesn't make that much money. They make a decent amount. They make a decent, but more than it. Like, people on Twitch, unless you're like Ninja, but like live play streams, things like that, you don't make a ton of money.
Right. I'm not saying they did. I'm saying they will have an advantage because of their popularity over somebody else.
And so you want to punish them for being popular?
No, I want to say go find another platform. That's not what Kickstarter is about. We have a specific vision, a mission an established mission. This is what we do. You're not being punished for not being given access to a platform. You're not being punished if you say something stupid and get kicked off Twitter. You made that choice. That's not a punishment. You don't have inherent freedom to be on a platform because you exist. And it feels as though their mission is being diminished by their inherent everybody gets free access without distinction.
Let's say we kickstart Dez and Fox. We want to upgrade into a studio, all this other stuff, and we go and they say you have 100 listeners. That means people know who you are, and that's an unfair advantage from somebody who has never done a podcast before, and they're starting from scratch. And therefore, you can't because you're not starting from scratch.
Right. That's why they would need to find that ground of what defines, and that would be difficult. But they've done it in other industries where here's where you get that definition, and then the advantage that brings.
Man, when you were talking about money, I was more on your side, but now that you're talking about just notoriety, that's such an ethereal thing. Like, you can't measure. How do you even measure that? How do you say this many people...
in the case of CD Projekt Red, how much money did you make off the last product you put out? Oh, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and you only want $100,000 for this new thing? Yeah, it doesn't seem like you need Kickstarter. Go publish it yourself. Go find somewhere else. We wish you luck.
But that's a measurement of money.
Sure.
You had just said that money is not the issue. It's the
I'm saying that's an issue as well as the clout that something like a conglomeration like Nickelodeon brings to the legitimacy of your project. Whereas that doesn't really actually mean anything in the quality of the product after it. Like, there is an advantage. It's not just about money, of course. There's an advantage to both money and to the brand recognition. And there are brands that don't have the recognition that Nickelodeon has that I could see them saying, yeah, okay, we understand based on the research we've done. Yeah, you're pretty small, and Kickstarter seems like the place we want to work with you.
I think at the end of the day, where I'm going to land on this is that even if we pretend that you are like objectively correct in all of this, I think the measurement of and it takes away from the other ones is a false measurement.
I can understand that.
I think that saying that just because The Witcher is there, other things will not get backed is untrue. I think that they have exactly as much
right.
opportunity.
Yeah, it has there's an element of, well, we have to assume that one person, there's two $40 projects and one person has $40. Well, they only get to do one, which might be true in some cases, but probably not true for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that it's asking of Kickstarter to go against themselves, to, I think, all in all, to have them measure how much clout, notoriety, and money that you have makes them become that which they you have become that which you feared. They are now the evil overseer that is dictating, yes, you can, no, you can't.
There's a danger in that, but I do think it wouldn't just be out of nowhere. They have a mission statement that says, we don't want these certain things to be in the thing. And so
they just say that we don't want people like
art elites or corporate executives.
And so
Joe Schmo doesn't have a corporate executive. CD Projekt Red does.
But they would become that art elite and corporate executive that are turning some people away and not. They would become the very thing that
because they don't have anything to do with the actual products being put out. They are saying, here's what our goal is with our platform. We don't think that you fall under it.
So they would say, we as an artistic platform or a creative platform do not think you qualify, and therefore you are not welcome on our platform.
No, they're not saying the person can't make it.
No, or not welcome on our platform.
We're saying that, essentially, there's we probably don't need what we provide.
So they are an artistic and creative entity.
No, they're not making any creative art and or artistic decisions. They're making a purely platforming decision based on the standards that they have set.
But they have still become that elite. That is, their fear is that the artistic and creative elites, the publishers, are looking over people's shoulders and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, if you're going to do it that way, you can't do it. If you're going to do it that way, you can't do it. And they would, at that point, be looking over people's shoulders and saying, if you're going to do it that way, then you can't do it.
I think you're being too general like that.
Right.
You're being a little too general because they are not saying anything about the project itself. They're saying that you have an unfair advantage in our eyes by having this IP, by having this pre-established brand, by having a public record of how much money you have in the bank. And I don't think it's the same. I think they are deciding what they're going to platform and what they're not going to, which we all do.
Right. Well, and I'm sure they have some things like that already.
They already have that. Yeah. They're not going to let you make Hitler simulator or platform Hitler, but you're saying that if they don't, then they're the artistic elites that are now deciding you don't get to follow your passion.
We've kind of said that about Steam already, though. When we talked about, this was like our third episode ever when the game Rape Day came out on Steam.
Yeah.
And we said, should they stop that? You and I agreed, no, but nobody should buy it. And that person should end up wasting their money and learning their lesson. But Steam shouldn't limit them.
If there is a pre-established standard of use or whatever the term would be, then somebody comes in and says, I want to do this thing, and it doesn't fall under that, then Kickstarter's saying, well, this is our standard. You don't fall under that. Sorry. Good luck. That it's very simple. Like it's what every platform does. It's what Steam does.
Right.
And I have no problem with that because it's not them saying you don't get to follow your passion. It's saying we're not going to be associated with it.
The measurement of that is where it gets really, really
right. But
rough.
Every single corporation already does.
Not something like this.
Twitch does. Facebook does. Every single platform already has standard of use, and they have to decide what they want on their platform or not.
But their standard of use isn't you can't use these IPs or you can't have this much money. Their standard of use is here are the things that you can't do.
Right. But in Kickstarter's case, because their goal is to platform smaller creators who need more this platform, then it's the same thing. It's just a different genre of platforming. It's not, well, they still have content platform or considerations,
Right.
but also like,
And that's why I say they're totally different. Content considerations are what Twitch and Twitter
Yes.
and everyone else does. We're not talking about content consideration.
right,
here.
they're not doing that. But Kickstarter saying we are fun. It's like any if a nonprofit said, no, or an indie game developer said we choose not to have a big publisher, then yeah, that's their choice. They're not denying, Activision Blizzard their passion because they're saying they're not going to, in a sense, platform them. It's Kickstarter. Just like I think it would be more appropriate based on what they've already said to state, here's what we want to pursue, and these certain types of projects don't fall under that.
Okay, so we're long over time here. So give me that wrap up then. Like, so what are you kind of saying here? Like, you know what? All in all, this is what I think should be going on here.
I mean, to put it succinctly,
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red does not need Kickstarter. They have an established brand and an established successful IP that they have produced many, many things and proven that people will pay money for. And I don't think Kickstarter is the place for them to try to get it there is a I don't know what the word I'm looking for, a understanding that Kickstarter is for the crowd to come together and fund this thing that the person has put forth, and it is a David and Goliath situation.
And
Not appropriate though, because Goliath died, but
it's a David and Goliath situation where Goliath steps on David and
Squish.
squishes him like a bug. I would say that art can come from anywhere, and just because somebody is using an established IP doesn't mean that they should be limited by Kickstarter for that nature. And I think more importantly is that if they do use an established IP, that it doesn't take away from anybody else. It means that they put in the legwork to get that permission from whomever to be able to use that IP. And if and when Kickstarter ever decided we are going to begin looking over people's shoulders and choosing, yes, that is okay to put on here because it isn't too big or a small enough IP, that one's too big, whatever else, I think that would make them the very thing that they have sworn to fight against.
I can understand that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for listening. Let us know what you think. How should Kickstarter be regulating those who use their platform? Do you think it should be at all? Do you think there should be a middle ground? Do you think they should be in there real strict? Whatever else. Let us know what you think of our opinions and our arguments at all. Any opinions that we have.
Anything.
And hey, Coke is better than Pepsi.
Coke and Pepsi are the same thing.
Ooh, all right. There you go, guys.
Next week.
Thank you so much for listening. We want to say thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do some of my neighbors off of the album Dear Sam. Go check out Granger. They're very good.
Hey, on our YouTube channel, we've got lots of videos from PAX.
PAX!
We played a lot of games, interviewed cosplayers. We got a lot of stuff. It's going up. It started a week ago and is continuing for at least another week. So go check it out, and then check out the games that we demoed because they're, with one exception, all small indie projects.
Yeah,
and,
it's real
so go
cool.
check them out. Yeah.
All right. Thanks again for listening, guys. And always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.
My voice sings